Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of our online interview series and here at Commodity TV. And today we want to talk to Torq Resources. And you remember the very famous company here out of Chile. And we have Shawn Wallace here, the executive chairman, and also Michael Henrichsen, the chief geologist, because the company had a very big announcement. Hey guys, good morning to Canada. How are you doing?
Doing great, thanks.
Very well, thank you.
Perfect, great. So we had some technical difficulties, but now it looks like things are over and fine. You guys had fantastic news, which is a big milestone for the company, obviously. Torq options the Santa Cecilia Gold-Copper Project in the Maricunga Belt in Chile. So, Michael, what does it mean for the company and for you as the chief geologist? You must be very happy.
I was very excited to be certain. I mean, we're basically in elephant country. We're surrounded by world-class deposits. I mean, if you go to the top of the hill at Santa Cecilia and you do a 360-degree turn, you look at 60 million ounces and 13 billion pounds of copper. And we know we're on a mineralized system. So for me, it's a completely transformative event for the company. It's extremely rare to get a property like this. And really, you know, what I find most exciting about it is that, you know, we partnered with our great team in Chile, and we finally arrived at this outcome. And this is the reason we came to Chile, was exactly this asset. So we're super happy that we've gotten here.
Fantastic. So, Shawn, how did you make this happen?
Well, I'd love to take all the credit ourselves, but no, this took a very, very hard and disciplined and patient approach from a large number of people, both up here in Canada, but in particular our Chilean partners. You know, COVID-19 presented many companies with many challenges. And one of them was how do you conduct your business when you have an international business and you can't travel? And so, fortunately for us, you know, one of the boxes we always want to check rather is jurisdiction. Well, Chile has that, and they also have quite a depth of incredible depth of technical, engineering, geological, all things mining talent. And we certainly were able to sort of merge our interests with the cream of the crop down there. And, you know, I don't think Mike and I, if we showed up in Chile, even with the successes we've had in the past, we would have been given the warm welcome to be able to have an opportunity to acquire an asset like this. But through our team, led by Waldo Quadro, we were able to get a much coveted asset down there. So we feel very, very fortunate. You know, an asset that's located in such that, as Mike pointed out, it's located on a geological belt with this great endowment. It's also located at a decent elevation. It's also located near infrastructure, potential all sorts of partnership opportunities and interest. And, you know, this is an area that's seen mining, is mining friendly. These are all very important aspects when you want to get excited about where you are in this business.
Absolutely. So one might think, okay, this is exploration, this is early stage, there's a lot of work to do. But I saw in your press release that the previous operator did already 47 holes with 14,000 meters, which is nice to have. And I'm pretty sure you maybe have already the drill core, the historic drill core, I should say. And they also completed 1,200 meters of exploration tunnel development that clearly defined epithermal gold and gold silver mineralization. So it looks like no virgin ground. It looks like that you guys have some advantages here, Michael. Oh, switch on.
Absolutely. We have a huge advantage here from the historical work. I mean, we know that there's gold oxide mineralization over the top 200 meters. We also know that there's high-grade gold silver mineralization. So we feel that there's two mineralized events. And really, it was a different time back then, because this was done from 1988 to 1990. Different gold price environment. That part of Chile was very remote at the time, and so now with $1,800 gold and the improvements of infrastructure, I mean, the start that they made is very much to our advantage, and it's a real mineralized system. Obviously, we're extremely excited to explore for high grade there as well, as that's going to be a critical part of what we do and in our targeting moving forward. But from the standpoint of having clearly defined mineralization right away, we have it, and that's exciting.
Absolutely, fully understood. And when I read through your really large press release, I think it's almost 18 pages or something like that. We see already that you have near surface mineralization, which is great. Maybe open pittable, hopefully, and also that you can really build on the work the previous operator has done. And we see here, for example, 1.3 grams gold equivalent over 34 meters, 1 gram gold equivalent over 22 meters, over half a gram over 162 meters. So how would you put this already into a perspective, and what would be that's now like the next steps you are taking?
Well, I certainly think for me, I mean, if we look at oxide gold, and there's the potential that this could get on a leach pad. That is a possibility. Our job right now is to define how big that system is. We still don't even know, because I don't think the historical drilling has adequately tested the near surface mineralization. So for us, we look at this and say, okay, great start. It's got good dimensions. We know we've got grade. We need to go and find out basically how big this shallow level epithermal mineralization will be. I mean, that is what our job is right away.
Absolutely. So where do you see, let's say, by year end, what are your immediate steps now you are taking?
I think the immediate steps, quite honestly, are there's two things that we have to do. First off, we want to have a good engagement with the community, make sure we're in a good relationship with them, and we believe that's going to be very achievable. And for us, we would like to start our technical work, in the new year, starting the first week of January. That's where we're looking to begin our work. So again, for us, it's just like understanding the surface mineralization, getting the geology sorted out. And then, of course, I know it's deep. There's a long press release, but there were so many good things to say. We also have to take a look at the deeper underlying porphyry mineralization that sits right underneath the epithermal. So for us, it's just understanding the entire size of the system. This is not a small system at all. And if you look at it with respect to, say, the size of the Kispiche deposit and the footprint of the Kispiche deposit, this is actually a much bigger system. So we have a lot of work to do to really understand what kind of animal that we're dealing with here. So it's going to be a fantastic first few months on the project.
Fantastic, great. Yeah, Shawn, that would be also a question here from my side now. How do you handle that? I mean, if we just listen to Michael, that he said, hey, this is really a big beast. So maybe this is something which is a bit large for, let's say, a smaller company on the one hand. And on the other hand, could you imagine to say, okay, you know what, we concentrate on the one hand on, let's say, probable open pittable, and then we look for high grade structures a little bit later on, or where's the emphasis? Because when I look at high grade structures in Wiens at the Vetas Condor target, for example, this looks also outstanding. I mean, so what are your preferences?
Well, I don't really have any preferences except that we find that we do our systematic, technically, scientifically driven exploration. The market gives you all sorts of reasons to want to be driven in one direction or another, but it seems to spin around with the wind often. So you can't really run a company correctly by being being too myopic on that particular aspect of it. We have a way that we do things. Mike has a team, and they systematically just go through all the opportunities that they see, and then we do work and we try to uncover other opportunities. I don't. So far in this discussion today, we've talked an awful lot about the stuff near surface and the gold, and then we talked about the deeper. Well, the target that's deeper. It's not really deep. I don't want you to get. So we believe there is a significant copper gold porphyry or gold copper porphyry. We'll figure out which ratio is more significant when we drill it. But that's the prize. That's why we're there. I don't want to get too distracted by some of this high grade gold stuff we found near the surface, which is great. Obviously, it all turns into money if you're successful one day. But we're there for that big copper gold or gold copper porphyry target. Again, this is the sort of system that I'm very comfortable working around. So if you ask me, that's what I like the best, because when you get onto one of those ones, that's something that has the ability to really move the needle for a major mining company. It's the sort of thing that can have a real impact for them on their balance sheet, which makes us so much more of an attractive target for them, which is precisely what we want to be.
Absolutely. And I think also copper is still on its way up, definitely. And I could imagine copper prices of $6 to $7 within the next 3 to 4 years, easily, I would say. And then I see, for example, here in your press release, 0.45% copper equivalent over 925 meters.
Yeah, that's the sort of stuff that needs no further words.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
what that is, to be, I joke about that, but that is the sort of thing that we looked at and said, well, this thing is demonstrating to us that this is when we were on the Maricunga, so we don't need to sell ourselves on where we are. I mean, it's just
Absolutely.
a place of legends.
Yeah.
But 900 meters of continuous mineralization, and with the geophysical signatures it has, we know that if we're disciplined and we follow the science and we systematically drill that off, somewhere there's going to be much better grade than that, and there's going to be areas where they're lower grade than that. This is how these porphyries are. And it's all going to be one mega pit one day is the dream.
Absolutely. So what do you think in the, let's say for next year, how many meters do you have to calculate to drill, and how does this correspond, let's say, with your cash you have in the company on the one hand, and on the other hand, with all the option payments you have to do then over the next year up to 84 months?
Yeah, so well, frankly, we don't plan out 84 months in advance on this. The whole idea and the way we structure our these sort of agreements is so that in those first critical years, we're doing this basing on assumptions that from our due diligence and from the technical data that existed, and our interpretation thereof. So we try to construct into our deal structure what we would like to do technically, so that the technical voice is the strongest one in those first few years, that ask those scientific questions, get those answers, and then we can make informed decisions at each sort of waypoint. Yeah, and the way we structure these deals is so that in the very few early critical years, when when we're learning the most, when we're really on the steepest part of the learning curve on a project, we want to get as much money into the ground as possible. I mean, well, obviously we always want to have that. That is a big goal of ours at all times, but in particular in those first years, because it's that technical information, it's those answers that are going to help inform us of whether we want to continue making those accelerating property payments and work commitments. And we're very comfortable with the level of work commitment on this project. Given the size of it, we'll spend that easily, but not in the first year, of course. We're going to dip our toes. We're going to go in there. We're going to drill. We're going to obviously drill our highest probability targets once we determine which ones they are, and away we go. And in terms of our treasury management, was part of your question. Certainly we have enough capital in the bank now to do our Margarita drill program, which is ongoing right now, which is a separate project to this one, which we're also very excited about. But the company will have to do some financing here into the new year.
Absolutely. Okay, fully understood. Yeah, because I saw that you have work expenditure commitments for 36 months of $15.5 million, right? And if I combine this also with the option payments, so we talk already about like $16-17 million. You need some G&A and some other stuff. So it's a nice amount of money, but it goes mostly in the ground, I would say. And this is exactly what we want to see.
Yeah.
Can you maybe touch shortly also onto Margarita? So when we will see some first results there?
Yeah, like we just announced Sorry, Mike. We just announced the commencement of drilling here just a couple of weeks ago. Something that's been plaguing mining companies or exploration companies, or anyone who needs any sort of analysis done for rocks, is that the labs are moving slowly. I think this is all part of sort of the global scenario that we're all dealing with. So I can't tell you exactly when we'll have the results, but I can tell you the drilling's underway and we're quite excited about it. Mike?
Yeah, I would expect, even our very first drill hole will probably be sometime in January. That's the reality of the situation we're in. So new results through Q1 at Margarita. At the same time, of course, we're starting our work on Santa Cecilia. So it's going to be a time of catalysts for Torq. Q1 is going to be excellent in that way for our investors.
Super. So that looks like that we get an after Christmas present.
Could be the best kind.
Fantastic, super. Okay, so let's come shortly back here to your various projects, meaning like Santa Cecilia, like Pircas, all those kind of things. Where do you see now, let's say, the first step, the first emphasis, and how do you want to move that on to make sure that you get it like systematically?
Well, I think, based on the fact that we're basically stepping back in time to the 1990s, right? I mean, that's when the major mining company was active, 88 to 90. Then there were 2 holes drilled in 2012, which, had those long, intercepts of copper, gold, porphyry mineralization. But considering where this is, it's barely being scratched. And what that means to us is exploration models have changed, understanding of deposits have changed since that time. And when you get to step back to, say, 1990, in reality, that's when the first discoveries in the Maricunga were being made. And already we know that there's, large porphyry mineralized system there, that there's a large epithermal gold system there. So we can leverage off those initial discoveries to truly find out how big it's going to be. That's where my headspace is at here.
Absolutely. Okay, super. If I look at the map with Santa Cecilia, and let's assume for a second, super hypothetically, you are next to Caspice, I think you said. Is it, if I say that correct? And Cerro Casale is also not really far away. Would it be like, let's call it a bit of the game plan to say, okay, guys, you know what, we prove here a big mining area, a big future project, and then probably you spin something together with those guys?
Right now we're not seeking any partners. Certainly, as
Of
the
course,
project
that's too early.
evolves, I mean, those are major mining companies that own those assets. So I think they'll be knocking on our door if we start getting the kind of results we're thinking of. If history is any sort of indicator about how these things go, and I've been a part of, unfortunately, in my career, some of these big bulk tonnage ones where the majors did come knocking. I think, like you mentioned earlier, 900 meters of 0.4, that's the kind of thing. Some people don't know what that means. Some people do. I can tell you someone who does, major mining companies. And that's the sort of size of system that moves the needle for them. That's why our neighbors are going to have to take notice that we're there.
Absolutely. Great. Yeah, fantastic. Maybe one last question, because we get this very often asked from our viewers. How is it to work in Chile these days? Do you face any issues, any political issues? How is the community relation work?
Well, at the moment, I mean, I think working in Chile is quite doable. I mean, certainly from starting with the pandemic, you're able to work. So our crews are able to get out there, we're able to execute well. So that's a great starting point. And then I think with respect to the communities, we've had no problems so far. We believe that the community that hosts the Santa Cecilia project, they have previous community agreements, they have agreements with our neighbors. So we expect them to we expect to have a good partnership with them. And I know that, our group places a huge emphasis on that. So for us right now, we are all systems go. And as I say, we're ready to get to work here in the new year.
Fantastic. Super. Then I would say, guys, get ready. Hit the ground very hard, and please deliver a lot of good results. That would be fantastic, because I'm a shareholder too.
Excellent. Well, we'll get right on that.
Super. Thank you very much, Shawn. Michael, wish you all the best. Have a great day, and talk soon to you.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Torq Resources with Shawn Wallace, the executive chairman, and also Michael Henrichsen, the chief geologist. And you heard it, they are in elephant territory, having big neighbors surrounding them. And also, the drills are turning not only on Santa Margarita, but especially Santa Cecilia, when they bought last week this big project, or optioned it, I should say, not bought. And they have a lot of work commitments for sure. The company needs some more money next year, but I would say this is exactly the basis and the foundation which is laid to really find big monster projects. And one thing is for sure, copper, silver, and gold. We cannot get enough for the next 5 to 10 years for that. And this is those type of projects are exactly the projects when they start to hit. And I have a very good feeling that Michael will really start to hit with his team. This is what the majors are seeking for. So time to have a look at Torq Resources. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.